Hi, this is Todd Oltoff from toddoltoff.com coming back at you with another screencast. In this week, we're going to take a look at setting up the Time Machine service that's built into macOS Server. Now, Time Machine is Apple's incremental backup system that allows you to back up your devices. It does incremental backups so that you can go back in time and restore files and things that you may have accidentally deleted or have disappeared or become corrupt. You can restore your machine to a previous state, or you can go back and pull specific files off using this service. Now, one of the things about Time Machine outside of Server is unless you own a time capsule, which is a router with a hard drive in it that Apple makes, you can't really do network Time Machine backups. Usually you have to have a drive plugged directly into your Mac to make that happen. Or like I said, you can use Time Machine. And in some cases, if you get certain network drives that might have a service built into them that connects with Time Machine, you may be able to do those centralized backups, but otherwise you can't do it without the server application. So this alone is kind of a nice reason to have the macOS server on your machine. Now, what this allows you to do is any connected drive to your server can be used as a backup destination for any of the machines on your network. And so that includes wireless machines as well. So any of your machines that are connected with Wi-Fi, they'll be able to back up to your Time Machine backup to that drive that you have connected to your server. Now, it's really important to understand this one fact, and that is a network attached drive, in other words, a drive that is plugged in with Ethernet into your router, cannot be controlled by macOS Server. That drive has its own built-in server software and information that works there, and so macOS Server does not control any of those network drives directly. So you can't use Mac Server with a network attached drive to control Time Machine in this way. You'd have to look to see if your actual network attached drive has its own ability to connect to Time Machine in order to make that work. So I just want to point that out because there are those confusions between those things that come up every once in a while when someone asks me why their network drive isn't showing up as a Time Machine destination. So that would be the case. So the service itself is pretty simple. As you see here, we have our settings and our backups. So let's just go ahead and walk through it. We have our permissions issues right here, just like we do in all of our services. And again, this will limit your access to the Time Machine service to either all users or only some users. And this would be if you wanted to regulate who actually backs up to the server so that not anybody on your network could just get access. And if you said only some users, you could come in here and add specific users and say only these people have access. In my case, I'm just going to leave it at all users and go from there. Now, down here is where we would set up our backup destinations. And it's as simple as hitting the plus right here. And you're going to choose or search for a destination. So let me go ahead and do that. We're just going to hit choose, and we get this drop down here. And for me, I put my information on my Drobo. So I'm going to go here to Drobo and then come down to, I believe it's shared items. Yeah, and you can see I have my backups that were set up previously in here. So I'm just going to hit on shared items here, say choose. And so now it's selected that as my Time Machine destination. Now what I can do is I can set a backup limit that each device can only back up a certain amount of space. Now what that's going to do is have Time Machine clear out older backups as you reach this particular cap for each of the machines that you have backing up using Time Machine. In my case, I'm just going to let it go, but you can see here that only Macs running Mavericks or newer are going to obey this limit. And that's really important because if you've got older machines, they don't have the information there to obey this particular limit, and they're just going to keep backing up until you run out of space. So that's something important to know. So I'm just going to leave that alone for myself. I'm going to say create, and it's going to create this backup and link it. And you can see it shows my folder there. There's my shared items folder, which is my destination, and it shows how many terabytes I have available. Again, just for those of you that have a Drobo, it'll show you your maximum terabytes. I don't actually have that amount of space, but the Drobo itself can go up to a certain number, and so that's why it shows that there. All right, so I've got this all set. If I ever wanted to edit it again, I could just hit this and hit the pencil here and go right in and edit any information I want to for that particular share. So now that I've got that set up and ready to go, and you can see over here our backups will show up here once I connect my machines, let me just go ahead and go over to another laptop that I've got on my network and do a screen share and show you what it looks like to set up Time Machine on the client. Okay, here I am over on a screen share with another Mac that I have on my network. So what I need to do is just go up here to System Preferences, and I'm going to go into Time Machine here. And then I simply need to select the backup, and there it is. There's my backups on my server right there. I'll say Use Disk. And so now it's going to connect to the server, and it's going to ask for my credentials. So let me log in. Okay, once I've got that done, I hit connect. So now it's connecting to the server, and you can see it's got the backups. It's ready to go. It says the next backup will start in so many seconds. And I've got it set to back up automatically, and I'm good to go at that point. Now it's going to start backing up to my server. Now the nice thing about this is if you've had a backup that's been there before, let's say you had a previous version of server or you were reinstalling your server, let's say, and so you're starting fresh. If you just point it to the same folder that you had this machine backing up to before, in most cases, I say most because sometimes errors can happen, it will find the old backup and then just start to add on to that backup. It'll match your machine up so it knows which one's there. Again, there could be a few things that might mess that up. If you did a clean install on both machines, that sort of thing, it might cause some problems. But other than that, that's how that works. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you about the service. If you come back in here, if we go to this Backups tab, you'll notice that it shows my previous backups. It'll show me the computers that are being backed up here. It'll tell me who the owner is of the computer, the latest backup, and then the total size of the particular backup that I've got running on there. And as you can see, I've got, it's been a little while since I've done these backups. This one's unknown because this was done a while ago. But it gives you an idea of how those backups are. If you ever wanted to remove a backup, you could come in here and just hit the minus to get rid of a backup. That would delete it for you. And again, as all of your different machines get added in here, you can then manage your backups and kind of see who's taking up what size and that sort of thing. And it'll allow you to manage it more closely. So as you can see, the Time Machine service, pretty simple, pretty easy to set up. But once you get it running, it's great because you have these wireless backups and or wired backups throughout your home network. So that's all I've got for this week. I'll be back at you next week with another screencast to help you learn how to do more things with your Mac. If you're interested in help in setting up your own server, feel free to contact me at todd@toddolthoff.com.